I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And speaking about bright light, we just had a full moon lunar eclipse in Leo, and that is why, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is The Standoff. And that is because this is a time under this full moon in Leo, at 1 degree of Leo, that there can be a standoff, because there can be a lot of different people or organizations or even whole countries that have very different viewpoints or attitudes or opinions about something they share in common. Isn't that ironic? So even though they share things in common, it looks to me like they're sort of sitting on both sides of the fence or on either side of a fence and not really willing to get together, and that's why there is a standoff or a struggle occurring under this full moon in Leo. And we do know that under a full moon, the moon opposes the sun. And since this is a lunar eclipse, it simply means, with the lunar eclipse moon at 1 degree of Leo, it means the sun is at 1 degree of Aquarius. Both of these signs are fixed signs, and I think that part of the reason for a standoff right now could be that there can be a lot of indecision or confusion about the future plans for loved ones and how much they're going to cost. So there is a sort of a financial element behind all the tension right now, and that is because that full moon in Leo is squaring both the sign of Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and also the sign of Scorpio, and the sun in Aquarius is doing the same thing. So the lights, the sun and the moon, are in harsh aspect to the two fixed financial signs. And so, actually, there are 5 planets in the fire signs right now, which can be very fun-loving and dynamic and action-oriented, because that full moon lunar eclipse on Monday that just occurred was actually trining Mars and Uranus in Aries, and also Venus and Jupiter in Sagittarius, and those 2 planets are conjuncting each other. That's a romantic marriage tie. So with these 5 planets in the fire signs, there could be a lot of action and enthusiasm to really get something underway and sort of push forward. And yet, there is a standoff right now, because beneath the surface, trouble is brewing. And that trouble can be brewing among relationships, it could be brewing about a new beginning, or it could be brewing in reference to legal matters right now. And that is for 2 very good reasons. The first reason why trouble can be brewing beneath the surface is because of the strength of the opposing forces. And that is depicted by the fact that Mars is in Aries, the sign that it rules, and Uranus, that planet of sudden volatility and surprising change, is also there at the fateful 29th degree. And since Mars rules war, aggression, hate, greed, and envy and jealousy, and it is, these planets in Aries are, remember, they're part of that beautiful grand trine in fire sign, so they're very strong. But they are in exact square to 3 other planets. Mars is at 14 degrees of Aries, and it is precisely and very harshly squaring Saturn in Capricorn, exactly at 14 degrees. And Pluto and Mercury are also in Capricorn. And so that simply means that since Aries rules new beginnings, and Capricorn rules traditional ways of doing things or working very hard for long-term success, it simply means that a new beginning right now is going to have to face the cold, hard facts about dealing with a large corporation or government agency. I mean, there's a way to do that, and it isn't that zoom forward kind of way, because that's not the way these large organizations work. So there can be strong opposing forces right now in their attitudes and viewpoints, and that is causing trouble beneath the surface. The second reason why trouble can be brewing is because there can be omissions and deceptions and things that have been going on that are hidden behind the scenes. And that is because Neptune is in Pisces. Well, it's the ruler of Pisces, and it is at 15 degrees, exactly and harshly squaring Venus, a wonderful planet in Sagittarius, which is also at 15 degrees. And Jupiter is at 16 degrees. It's conjuncting that Venus. And so that simply means that there could be the exposure of an imposter or the revelation of some things that are covert activities that have been going on behind the scenes. Or it could be that when a secret sort of comes suddenly out in the open, somebody's little bubble could burst, and that could create a standoff. And so those are two good reasons why a standoff or a struggle is underway right now. However, we have to remember that a lunar eclipse is involving the moon, and the moon rules women. And because the sun and the moon are opposing each other and the moon is getting eclipsed, we generally say under a lunar eclipse that one woman goes and another woman comes. And that could, it doesn't have to happen at the same time simultaneously, but it could happen anytime over the next 6 months, which is the duration of the effect of an eclipse, any eclipse. And so that one woman going and one woman coming could occur in all of our lives in one way or another. And then we have to remember that the lunar eclipse was in Leo, and Leo rules leadership. And so there is the possibility that if there should be some sort of change, that if one woman goes and another woman comes, it could help to break up or disrupt a standoff. Maybe that would help that out or ease the tension a little bit. Because I think since the lunar eclipse is in Leo, it simply means that a new leader could emerge after the standoff is over. But we're not quite there yet. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, I'm happy to say that you are very popular right now. And the reason why is there are 5 planets in the fire signs. So you have that romantic Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Sagittarius trining your sun sign where you have Mars and Uranus. That can make you dynamic and make you want to push forward. It can certainly make you very enthusiastic. And those 4 planets are being trined or were trined by the lunar eclipse on Monday in Leo. And so that's why you're so sort of popular right now. There could be very good news about travel right now or higher education, or there could be good news from far away or even visitors from far away that come to see you right now, and they would be wonderful. You'd really enjoy that, Aries. But at the same time, you too might be involved in some sort of standoff right now. And that is because Mars and Uranus in your sign are being harshly squared and exactly by Saturn. And then also Pluto and Mercury are in Capricorn as well. And that means that if you are involved in any new beginning, there could be a little trouble brewing beneath the surface right now, because you might have to take another look and face cold hard facts about how large corporations or very experienced people or government agencies work, because that could be why there is some sort of standoff. So you have to be a little bit careful. You might want to backtrack a little bit. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when there can be a little trouble brewing in the background of your life and beneath the surface, because Mars and Uranus and Aries are right behind your sun sign. And so even if you're not troubled by something, somebody else is. And I urge you to sort of turn a blind eye to that, to try not to pay too much attention to what's going on in the background of your life right now. Try to concentrate instead on your career. And that's because it could be looking wonderful all year long. It would only require that you work very hard without complaint, but oh boy, you could profit from that this year for the rest of your life. And that's because Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury in Capricorn are trining your sun right now. And in March, when Uranus leaves Aries and moves into your sign, and is trining Saturn and Pluto until the middle of 2020, you are really going to be able to take off. So instead of focusing on problems that are brewing beneath the surface right now, even in the background of your own life, Taurus, you should be concentrating on your long-term goals and aims and sort of stick to business right now, and actually for the next year and a half, because you could be very richly rewarded for that. So keep your eyes on the prize, and the prize should be your own goals, your long-term goals, and let everyone else solve their own problems. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, you're in a unique position under this lunar eclipse in Leo, and that's because the lunar eclipse, which is the moon in Leo, is sextiling your sun. So that means that if one woman goes and another woman comes, or if and when a new leader emerges sometime in the next 6 months, you could get along with them really well, and they could offer new opportunities to you to do things in a more compatible and easy way. And on top of that, Uranus and Mars in Aries are also sextiling your sun and Uranus, and so that means that even if there is some trouble beneath the surface about some sort of new beginning, you would tend to be able to take advantage of that, Gemini, sooner or later, maybe by the time the standoff breaks up. And then on top of that, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and the sun is in Aquarius, and it is trining your sun. So what does that mean? Well, Aquarius rules the future, and that means, Gemini, that you should be concentrating on the future. I'm sure that rather than concentrating on a messy standoff right now, if you began to just think about what you want to do next and concentrate a little bit more on that, it may open up a new field of endeavor for you, which would be very good. So sort of jump over the problems right now that are brewing beneath the surface or during a standoff, and go for what you want to do in the future, because it's looking as if you're very well aspected to succeed at that. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, a Cancer, there are 5 planets in cardinal signs right now, and they're in harsh aspect to your sun sign because Mars and Uranus in Aries are squaring your sun, and Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury in Capricorn are opposing your sun sign. And so you could be affected one way or another by some sort of standoff or struggle and differing viewpoints or attitudes about something that people share in common. That's the irony of it. They may be on opposite sides of the fence, but it is concerning something they have in common with each other. And so sooner or later, that's got to work out in one way or another. And you could be troubled by that because these planets are in harsh aspect to your sun sign. But actually, the full moon lunar eclipse in Leo on Monday was right ahead of your sun sign, and the moon is your ruler. And so since the moon was eclipsed, I think there is the possibility that either a family member or a friend of yours or somebody that you're acquainted with is probably going to move. And it might be any time in the next 6 months, but I think that something like that could be going on in your life. And also, it can be that you are somewhat generous in helping them out in one way or another. So I think that that's actually going to work out pretty good for you in the long run, because it could be a loved one. And also, this is a time when you may have thought that you were going to be sort of lucky in one way, but it might turn out that you're lucky in another way instead. So keep your eyes open. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, that full moon lunar eclipse on Monday at 1 degree was in your sun sign, and oh, it was beautifully trined by Mars and Uranus in Aries, and also by Venus and Jupiter in Sagittarius. By itself, with the moon in your sign, it means that there's a lot of light on you, Leo. And so you might be wanting to, you could be very enthusiastic and wanting to sort of jump forward and do something real quick. If you're wanting to start a new beginning, I can assure you there is trouble brewing beneath the surface about any new beginning right now, so I urge you to be cautious. It can also be that somebody else is putting pressure on you to make a new beginning, but I would say it would be more to their advantage than yours, and it would not be a sure thing. So I think you better think about that. On the other hand, your relationships And news from a distance could be absolutely excellent because Venus and Jupiter are trining your sun from Sagittarius. However, remember I said the problem is a standoff, and that the standoff is occurring because people are worried about the future of their loved ones and how to pay for it. And that's because both the signs of Taurus and Scorpio are squaring your sun sign and the sign of Aquarius. So they're squaring the moon and the sun. And so that means you could be a little undecided about something, or you could be confused about something right now, or you can be very unsure about what your next step should be, mainly because you would not be sure how much it was going to cost. And for that reason, I think you should sort of hesitate a little bit. This may not be the time to jump off and into something, Leo. Maybe this is the time when you should wait and make sure you've got more than enough money before you decide to move forward if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when I think that, once again, you are certainly going to be agreeing with people who have more traditional views, are very experienced and mature, and really know what they're doing. I would stick with them. This could also affect your career, Virgo. And if there is a standoff, I sort of urge you not to take sides right now, because actually I don't think your values are going to change very much. And that is because you're a person that likes to depend on the truth, on facts and details and things that can be verified and proven. And so maybe you should just stick to your own values and not side with anybody that has an opposing viewpoint right now. And the reason why is that there are some planets that could represent deceptions or omissions or hidden activities behind the scenes that could be adversely affecting you, Virgo. It's not that you're doing them, it's that others that perhaps you trust are doing them, and that's why you shouldn't trust them anymore. And that's because Neptune in Pisces is opposing your sun sign, and Venus and Jupiter in Sagittarius are squaring it. So all is not well, is what I'm saying, Virgo, and instead you should stick to facts and be a little bit more truthful about what your limits are, and really try to stay within them instead. That's what would make you most comfortable. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when you are in a sort of a advantageous position in one way, and that is because the lunar eclipse in Leo was sextiling your sun, which means there could be opportunities for you to meet new leaders, or to make new friends in one way or another, or even to have some good friends that you could even have a romantic interest in. That would be fine. And then Venus and Jupiter in Sagittarius are also sextiling your sun on the other sign of your sun sign. And that simply means that you could be perhaps planning a trip. It would go very well. Or you could be thinking of going back to school, increasing your knowledge, and that too would work out very well. The problem is that instead you can be embroiled in something that is not working out too well beneath the surface and represents a standoff or a struggle among people with different viewpoints and attitudes that share the same thing. That's the irony of it. And that is what you should walk away from at the moment in order to give you greater peace of mind. And that's because Mars is rather strident right now and very well backed up. And it is with Uranus and Aries, and they are opposing your sun sign, and Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury in Capricorn are also squaring your sun sign. And so there is trouble brewing somewhere, and it involves some sort of standoff, and I think you should take a trip or take a class and just try to get away from all that right now, Libra, because there are good benign influences around you, and that's what you should stick to. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when you really need to be careful about the money, and when also you can be able to face some sort of change, and there will be some. And the reason why is that yours is a fixed sign. It's a fixed financial sign. And it also rules justice and survival. But the lunar eclipse in Leo on Monday was squaring your sun sign. the sun in Aquarius is squaring your sun sign, and your sun sign opposes the sign of Taurus, the other fixed financial sign. So you might be one of these people that is somewhat worried about the future plans of a loved one and how to pay for them. And you may not really have the answer to that, not because you're broke, but because you are not sure of how much something in the future is going to cost. And without having a good cost analysis, you don't know if what you want to do is going to fit in your budget or not. And it may not fit in your budget at the moment. And so that is why it would be a good idea for you not to get involved in a standoff with anybody. It's not going to, you won't win it, believe me, not with the lights both squaring your sun sign. And also you could be involved in something that has to do with a deception, an omission, or some sort of activity going on behind the scenes. That would be Neptune and Pisces trining your sun, but that Neptune is under duress right now. And for that reason, I think you should try to be very cautious, particularly with money. I wouldn't part with any money right now, Scorpio. And then also you should be very cautious about who's involved in a standoff, and try not to take sides, and don't even comment. Just hope it ends pretty soon. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when I hope you're in the mood for love, because you could be around some very nice people right now, Sagittarius, and that's because Venus in your sign at 15 degrees is conjuncting Jupiter, your own ruler, at 16 degrees. And they're beautifully backed up because Mars and Uranus in Aries is trining your sun sign, and so is the lunar eclipse in Leo that occurred on Monday. And so you could have your mind on travel or expanding your circle of friends, and you could be thinking about learning more or higher education, or you could be involved closely in watching some sort of court case or the outcome of a court decision, because your sign does rule the whole judicial system. So that's rather interesting. The problem is you still may not know who to trust, Sagittarius, so you do have to be a little bit careful, because Neptune in Pisces is at 15 degrees, is exactly squaring Venus in your sign today, and it's also squaring Jupiter in your sign. So yes, you can be extremely popular. You can be looking real good too, Sagittarius. But I just wouldn't bet the farm on anything right now. Instead, I think you're going to be pretty happy circulating with other people, but make sure that they share the same values that you have, so that you really have something basic in common. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, you could be feeling pressure from some sort of standoff or struggle that involves people that have different viewpoints or attitudes than you have. And they may want to sort of rush forward and do things their way. And they could be pretty successful at that, because that emphasis is coming from the fact that Mars and Uranus and Aries are squaring your sun sign, where you have Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury. And so you could be getting pressure. And that could be from trouble beneath the surface, that it could involve relationships, a new beginning, or some sort of legal matter. And I think that what you should do is you really should sort of just try to defend yourself, not from others, but protect yourself more or less from whatever other people are trying to do. Because the irony is that anybody who is involved in a standoff or a struggle right now actually is sharing something in common with the opposite side. I don't know what's it's going to take to get them together, except that they're sharing something anyway. So you think they sort of stop opposing each other sooner or later. And so what you need to do is continue on your way rather quietly and carefully right now. The full moon lunar eclipse was in conjunct or 150 degrees away from your sun sign, so you may not be as affected by that as others are. Just be careful right now. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, aren't you lucky? The sun is in your sign right now. But on Monday, it was being opposed by the full moon lunar eclipse, and that simply means that your future is probably going to change a little bit right now, Aquarius, or sometime in the next 6 months when one woman goes and another woman comes. This could happen anywhere in your life, but you will be affected by that. It could open up a better future for you as a new leader emerges after a standoff is over. So I would say for right now, you may not be too sure of the money, and I think there's going to be a change in a relationship for you sometime in the next 6 months, and it would involve somebody leaving. And so for that reason, I wouldn't make too many commitments at the moment. I think you need to sort of be a little bit careful about making future plans and how much they cost right now. Just sort of hold off on that if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when I think that you too need to be careful, because Uranus and Mars are in Aries right ahead of your sun sign, and they want to zoom ahead, and they're being beautifully trined by that lunar eclipse in Leo, and also by Venus and Jupiter in Sagittarius. So they've got a lot of energy and they want to do something with it. And if you join a group that is sort of really determined to have their way right now, it could be rather expensive for you. In fact, you have to instead step back and be much more cautious this year, because Neptune is exactly squaring Venus and Jupiter in Sagittarius. That simply means that your activities or your lifestyle could be subject to legal review at any time this year, but particularly right now, believe it or not. And so if you go a little bit overboard in any direction, you may pay a cost for that, Pisces. And so you do have to be a little bit careful. And if there is a standoff, I strongly urge you not to take sides, because you just might take the wrong side and regret it. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see our show, read our blog, and hear our podcast on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.